Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Stealth Trader pre-market analysis and trade plan setup for Tuesday, October the 21st, 2014. Hold on a second. That sounded like order just went off. I shouldn't be having any orders go off. Okay. Sorry, I've got my dome open and that sounded like an order going off, but it's not. Must be the stage 5 room. Anyway, let's start this over again. Welcome to the pre-market trade plan setup for Tuesday, October the 21st, 2014. My name is Doug McKay. I am the head moderator of Stealth Trading. And if you're interested in checking us out, please do go to stealthtrader.com or give me an email at d.mckay@stealthtrader.com if you want to get more information. We will be moving the room over to the new Omnovia room at the end of the month. We've already made arrangements to do that. So there are some announcements that I'll be making next week in terms of the conditions of that room and the products and services. But anyway, each morning we come into this live session to take a look at my analysis, take a look at the trend from the macro to micro, the key numbers, get into some more in-depth chart analysis and the volume profile structure, and then we set up our trade plan and our targets for the day. So if you're interested in sticking around and joining us, please do. But before that, let me get the legal out of the way. This information is for the purpose of educating members who want to expand their knowledge of the business of trading. It's not for trading or investment advice. You are responsible for the trades and investment decisions you make. Trading futures or any instrument involves the risk of loss. Please consider carefully whether futures or options are appropriate to financial situation. Only risk capital should be used when trading futures or options. Investors can lose money on initial investment. Nobody at Stealth Trader is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and any trades that you see in Stealth Trader is for education purposes only. Please trade your own due diligence and your own trade plan. Unless, of course, you're trading our alerts, then please do. And let's take a look. Let's start with the key numbers. Of course, you know, we're above the month, the year open again, and the key one to keep an eye on is we're still below the month at open at 1961, and they still have enough days and enough ATR to make a run for that 1961. My target above the 1900 was that 1906.75. That's a microcomposite V-Puck. It was a target for us on the way down, and then of course we went right through it and went up to the Globex high at 1912.50 and have since rotated. Actually, I think we went a little bit even higher since I've did the Globex high and low, but we'll take a look at that. Our week open is 1884, so we're definitely above that now. Our week high is, we just put a new week high in the Globex, which let's just check to see. I'm going to make sure I know where we are right now. Our high for the day, oh, that's the month, let's bring up the, yeah, we went up and put a high in, can you change that for me, Nick, to 1916.50. So that is a new week high for us. And going back to the sheet, nothing else jumps out at me in the big term. Yesterday, we opened the Globex at 1884. We had a high in the Globex at 1893.50 and a low at 72.25. We opened the RTH session yesterday at 75.25. That was right at a key level, a key CLVN, and basically buyers took control and rotated us up higher, and we closed at that 1902.25. Our low was the CLVN at 74.50. Our high was 1902, and our 1230, 1890, and our VPOC shifted up to 1887. 3.25 point opening swing, and 14 point on the initial balance. Again, pay attention to our initial balance. Our average initial balance normally is between 6 and 9 points. As the bears and the bulls fight this out, they're expanding our initial balance. I think that there's going to be a big fight in around this level, especially in the Russell. I'll talk about the Russell, but the month open on the Russell is 1095, and we're trading right around it this morning, so they're going to fight that one out. Let's take a look at our 20-day ATRs. You can see that the RTH 20-day is 29.25 points. Our full session is 33.50, and our Globex is almost 17. You know, these have been expanding out as we get these huge volatility and huge ranges, but we've already put in close to the full session range today. So there's going to be two main hypotheses this morning: is we break out and expand and continue to go higher, or we rotate and have a rotational day as we explore some of the unauctioned territory that we left overnight below. And I'll show you where my key level is going to be that 1909.25. That's going to be the line in the sand for longs and shorts for me today. Our value area was higher at 1892.50 and was higher low at 1878. So value is creeping back up. And again, we didn't have the huge volume that we had the last few days. We've been, for the last week and a half, we've had huge, almost double the volume we usually see. But yesterday was kind of muted, but heavy volume overnight. And I'll show you that the OTF was very active. And I think most of it was on the news that it's been conflicted now, that originally when Europe opened, they rallied from that low off of Europe, and the ECB looking at extending their bond buying program. And then a report came out earlier this morning that is not correct information. So we don't know for sure, but certainly something to keep an eye on. Right now, our weekly range is the 93 points last week. The 20-day average is 40, and we're over that already. So we're expanding our weekly range out as well. Going over to the daily report, there's really no news until 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern, existing home sales, which will be rather muted. I think you're going to pay attention to the ranges today. I'm going to just put in our calculator here and see where we're at. Our full session high so far is at 1916.50, and our full session low, which is our Globex low, is all the way down at 1885.75. So our full session target to the upside based on the average 20-day range is 19.19 a quarter. Our full session target low is 1882.91, and we'll expand that once we get into the RTH session and see what the ATR calculator gives us. But look at this 1919 as your possible extension up for the day. I don't think we're going to get much higher. There's a CLVN up there just above it at 1921. Let's take a look at the macro to the micro, as I usually do. And I've been talking about this forever. If you go back to any of our recordings or been involved in this, that we have not violated the overall long-term trend. We needed to get below the 20-day, excuse me, we needed to get below the 20-month average down here at 1788 area before I would even consider that the long-term trend is violated. And I've been saying through this whole pullback that there's too much unauctioned territory above us, and that this was a normal pullback. I was only expecting a pullback into the 1850 area. We kind of pushed down into that 1813 area before they really found buyers with conviction. But once they accepted that 1850, which they did in the last few days, we rotated back up, and now we're testing and back into the 1900s again. Going over to the weekly, you see the weekly is still beginning of a downtrend, but remember I talked about the fact that we've got a technical gap on the weekly, and we've got a naked cross up here at that 1957 area. So that's still a possibility. A gap close, technical gap close, is going to take us up into that 1935, 1936. I'm really watching 1939, 1940 area. I'll show you why when we get on the composite chart. Going to the daily, you see that we had created that. I talked about this the other day. We had the foo bar and Mr. Sneaky and rotation and a tech gap. One of my favorite chart patterns. Rotate back up, close the gap at 1889, and now we're coming out to close the gap on the 20, which will take us up into 1924.50 area. Going over to the geometric chart, you can see that we've come back, and we were talking about this this level the other day, and that if we came up and accepted and broke above the center line of the downward sloping fork, that we're likely to come up and test the lower line of the longer-term downward sloping fork. There is an energy point up here that is a possibility. If we get a huge rally going, I would expect that we would need range extension, but that is a target for extended for today in 1946-45 area. If we get above the lower line of the downward sloping longer term fork, look for a possible move. Well, first you've got the gap close, which is going to be at the 1923. I think it'll actually be 1921 thereabouts, but a move up to test the upper line of the shorter term downward sloping fork will take us up into that 1930 area. What was the ATR calculator? 1919, so right in around here at that CLVM. So let's take a quick look at the trends coming into the RTH session, our intraday trends. You can see that we have a nice trend going on the 4 hour. Got a little bit of a technical gap here, likely to come down if we get if we don't see initiative buyers stepping in on the open, and we do get a rotational day. I'd be looking for them to come down and test and close out this gap, and I think it's going to be somewhere in around 1900 and a quarter, that CLVN. On the 30-minute, you see we did get the technical gap with the Mr. Sneaky and a rotation back to close the technical gap, rejected the 9 EMA, and have popped up again and again. We've got a possible Mr. Sneaky technical gap here, so it's going to be interesting on the open to see whether or not they come down and take it out. There is a naked cross down here at 1895, so if we get weakness and we get back into yesterday's range, that would be a decent target to look at, especially when the week open is at 1884, and you've got this naked cross on the 30-minute down here. Going to the 5-minute. 5-minute is is showing consolidation, no true trend. We have an MA hug here at 1910. I'm really looking at that 1909.25. So let's go take a look at the big picture. I just want to bring this out so you can see this a little bit better, because this is important. Okay, so we found this balance, and this is the value area of the balance that we had back when we were trading in around the 1850 and the microcomposite at 1850. The value area high was up here at 1863. And then they broke out of that, and they came up here and created this balance zone up here with the microcomposite being up here at the 1959.25, and we kind of bounced around, came down, tested where we accepted value just after the breakout, and then they rallied up, tried to hold value up here, and they came all the way down. And we were looking, once we broke through that, it was 84 at the time. We were talking about if they got below that 84, that we're likely going to get a rotation down to test this 1850. They went right through to the other side of value, tried to break down through the value, went almost right down to this 1813 level, and then rotated us back up. They actually did it in the Globex. They just didn't do it in the RTH, but they found buyers at a former microcomposite VPOC. Now that we rotated and we talked about this possibility of breaking out of value, and that our first target above was going to be in that 1881-82 area, and now they're continuing up. So let's drill in a little bit closer and take a look at the structure here. So right now, the overall accepted price in this balance zone, that is from the 10th of the month through till yesterday, the most accepted price is 1882. We'll keep an eye on the fact that a week open is 1884. And then we have I got something going on with my CLVNs, and I think I'm going to change the sensitivity. But then at the prior day, we accepted value higher here, at basically our overall, larger picture balance at the same place. So they've accepted the 1882. They broke above that key CLVN at 86.25, and then they just buyers took control and took us all the way up to test the 1900s again, and then we rotated and we closed at 1900.25, and then overnight they went down to 1885 again and rotated us right back up and through on the European news. So right now you've got a pretty blunt area on the profile just above us. You've got a couple key areas to watch: 12.25, 15.25, and 18 is my big number above right now, with real resistance coming in at 21. Especially with the fact that our ATR calculator is giving us a target just below it at 1919 area. But it's 1909.25 that I'm going to be watching on the open, because we're going to be opening up outside of range and outside of value with a fairly large gap. A half gap fill is going to bring us down to around the 1904, 1905 level. You can see that the value area of those trading days. I'm just going to do something here. I just want to take this down one day to see how much it changes. See, it doesn't really change anything when I take the breakdown day out of it, the 1882 is still the microcomposite, and 1904 is still the microcomposite value area high. So if they get below 09.25, look for that rotation. Target the 0650 CHVN, but the half gap fill, and likely they'll push through to the 04.25. If they get below 04.25, then I'd be looking for more of a full gap close and move down to 1900.25 to close the gap and test the range high from yesterday at 1950. So 1909 is going to be important. If we hold the 1909.25, then I think initiative buyers are still in control above value and above range, and I would expect for us to explore higher. The problem, what we've got up here, is we've got this blunt area. You can see that the profile has no discernible price acceptance. They've got CHVNs at 12.75, 18, and 26 and 31, but you really don't get one that's definitive until we get all the way up here to this 1939.75. And the 1935.75 is the microcomposite VPOC, or one tick below the microcomposite VPOC at 1940. So eventually I think we're going to work our way back up here if we can hold above this 1909.25. Not necessarily today. I think we're going to get a lot of rotations above us as we try to determine. But I would use 18 and 21 as your guides to the upside right now, and then continuation 26 and 31. The value area low of the value we just fell out of last week is 32.25. So we could get some resistance and some rotational day with an upside bias as long as we stay above the 9.25. Below 9.25, then I'd be looking for to test that 650 and possibly 04, or come down and test the range. So let's go take a look at what has happened overnight, and then start moving our numbers over. Excuse me, I've got a cold, so if I'm sniffing a lot, please bear with me. All right, so far we've got an overnight low all the way down to 1885.75. Yeah, that would be good to have the right chart up. Thank you, Nick. $1885.75, which is basically one tick below our value area low. Sorry. And then our high for the Globex is 1650. And our VPOC is at 1912, and I don't think that's going to change. Just trading just below it. Get rid of this. So my key level for the morning is going to be this 1909.25. And my hypothesis is that if we can hold above this 1909.25, that we're going to get a rotation back up into this 1275 area and take out the overnight VPOC. Should be right there. And with a possible continuation up to the take out the naked VPOC and the overnight high, and really I'm not seeing any real resistance coming in until we get to the 21 area. So I'm going to put 21. And this is going to be choppy in this area, so it's going to be tough to trade. Other than you could try to do the 15, but the problem is the 15 and a quarter CLVN is right between this this 1914.75 naked VPOC and the overnight high. If they stay above the 1909 and a quarter, I'm anticipating that your 96% probability is going to be to take out that Globex high at 16 and test this 18 level. I'm going to actually use 18 as an area that we get possible responsive sellers stepping in after they take out the overnight high. So it's going to be a target, but it's also going to be a area that I'll do business, because if they reject that 18 and you get responsive sellers stepping in at the CHVN, then I'll look for the rotation back down. Just above that, we've got our ATR target full session at 1919 and a quarter. So that's actually, they could push through just a bit and then rotate back through it with 21. Above 21, there's really nothing there until we get to 26. And 3150 with a little bit of resistance coming in at that 30 level. And then, of course, the big target and the magnet for us in the 1900s right now is this 1939.75.
Send me or email me the portfolio. Yeah, I'll give it to you right
now. All right, and that's the magnet that's above us, back into previous balance, if we can hold above that 1909.25. Below 1909.25, I'd be targeting the 0650. And with possible responsive buyers stepping in at the value area, like composite value area high at 04, and then if we get below 04, the main target and also an area that you'd look to do business is at this 1950 with the gap. Then I'd be looking for a move down to this 97. Okay, and then that's right above the CHVN here at 96.75, and it's the key, HVN, the high volume node, as we were moving up to take out that and retest that 1900. Below that, there's a little bit of support at 95, so be careful right there. But below 95, then you got to be looking for them to go and test this value area low here at value area high here at 92.50. And there's really not much in there. You get 94, but I think that once they're inside a range and they get below that 1895, that they'll really come down and test the value area high here. And then if they do get back inside of value and back inside of range, I don't think there's much to hold us up, to keep us from coming down and rotating back into the meat of yesterday and taking out the naked VPOC here at 87. You've got 87 here as a CHVN as well, and then of course the main target will be the overnight low, but just below it is your 1882. And then the fix the chart The support below the 82 is going to be at 79.78, which was basically the prior day value area low. So we could test all the way down to that value area low from yesterday. But I'm going to put it in at 79. Is it 79? Sorry, 79.75. And then below that, I think we're going to get some capitulations and go down, and that puts us below the week open is right here at this 79.75. Actually, I'm sorry, no, it's 1884. I'm looking at the Russell. But if we break below that, I think coming down to test the range low and the open from yesterday, and then you can see that you've got a CHVN right there just below it is going to be the key line of sand. We do not want to break back below the 71.25, because if we break back below the 71.25, then you got to be thinking that they're going to come back down here and rotate back towards this 1850 again. But I don't think we're going to get there today. But below that 1871, your first target is going to be 66.25, and we've got to hold above the value area high of the big microcomposite that centers around that 1850 at 1864. So these are just areas that I already had in target, so I don't even have to talk about those. I don't think we're going to get there. I think if we do break that 1909.25, we're going to get rotation back inside to test the range. Whether we get back inside of value is going to be the big test. But if we do, then I think we're going to get stuck in this area down here and probably come down to take out the overnight low and test that 79, 75, 81 area, or I should say 82 area that we've got, where we've got a microcomposite balance and a 2-day where they accepted value again after coming back up and breaking to the upside of this microcomposite. Taking a look, do I have time? 18, 19. Just, you know what? I already put it into the room, so let me just go through. I won't go on the chart, I'll go through it. So after falling out of balance last week, we went down to a swing low at 1038.80 on the Russell, and then we rallied back up. We had a low yesterday on the RTH at 73.40 and a high at 92.60. Overnight, we had a low at 86.30, and then news from ECB drove us up to a Globex high at 1099.50. I don't know where we're trading right now, but when I was writing this, we were trading at 96.50. The month open on the Russell is 1095, and I expect that 1095 is going to be the battle zone today for the Russell. Let me just see where we are trading on the Russell so I can. Well, so we're trading right above it at 1096. So not much has happened from my from where I was writing my hypothesis. We were a little bit higher when I wrote this hypothesis. So at the time, we had about a 5.1 gap. And the half gap was going to bring us down to that 95 level. It's going to be right around there again, but that's the key there. But of course, anytime you're opening up above range and above value, you got to look for initiative buyers. We may not go down to that 95, or they might find the buyers right at that 95. If we do, I'd be looking for them to rotate back up and take out the overnight high at 99.50 and retest the 1100. The big target above range and value is the 1130. This is where we tried to hold value after falling out of that balance that we were in from that last week or the week before last, and then went down and made that swing low at 1038.50. Support is at the CLVN at 1094 and the month open. That's the key line right now. If we stay above that, the target's the overnight high, of course, in the 1130. There's a CHVN at 1103.80, and the MCV-POC from the balance that we fell out of is 1106.30. Now, there's a little bit of resistance at 1108.10, but the key is if we can get back into the 1100s, the overall most accepted price in the composite VPOC right now is at 11.1170. And that goes back to November the 16th, 2012. So as long as we can stay in the 1100s, I'd be looking for a slow grind move up to the most accepted price as the price discover back into that range that was at the 1106.30. And above 1108.10, again, this will be a very strong trade once we get above this 1108.10 to get in to a long position into that 1111.70 and a continued rally. Extended targets above are the microcomposite value area high at 1115.30 and the CLVN at 1121.70 and range high on that MC at 26. If we don't see initiative buyers stepping in, look for that 94.95 to get tested. And then if we break below that, a test of yesterday's range will give us 92.60 and close the gap at 92.30. And there's no real support until we get in around the 10.90.25 level. But really, I'd be looking for them to rotate down towards the 10.88.20, the value area high. There, we could look for responsive buyers to step in and rotate us right back up through the range and break out and go for that year open again. But I do expect the battle to happen at that 95 range. If we break below the value area high at that 88.20, then we're back into range in the value, and I'd look for them to go down to 86.60 to take out the naked VPOC and look for continuation down to take out the Globex low, especially if they don't take out that Globex high at 10.99.50. I'd be looking for a move once they get back into value down to take out the Globex low at 10.86.30. Weakness could get us a rotation to a destination 80% value play down to the value area low at 10.83.50 and the midpoint at 83 from yesterday's there. Below there, the main target is the 10.81.20. That is the microcomposite VPOC and the current balance that we were in. Extended targets below that 10.75.20, which is the CLVN on the lower side of balance around that 81.20, and the low of yesterday down at 10.72.40. Below the range and value, we've got a blunt area of the profile that extends down to 65.70 between the CLVN of 75.20 and 65.70. This is unfinished auction, and it's got a lot of undetermined fair value and likely to be a chop fest down there. So that's what I'm looking at on the Russell. And just a real quick look at gold. Gold continues to go for the breakout. We're looking for the break above 52.70 to get us to the 55-56 area. We're getting a little bit of resistance there. Watch this this 52.70. If we break back below it, look for a move down to 50.30 to test the range high, but I'd be really looking for a rotation back down to 12.45.20, especially if we get a big move in the indices up into the ES into the 1900s. Real support really doesn't come in until you get back into that 12.39.30. So I mean, this could be a good short below this 52.30, but just make sure you get scaled and funded at 50.30 because it could bounce off of that. But you could get a continuation trade down to test the value area high of the micro composite, and then if we break inside of value, you really have support the first support at 42, but I would really look for a move down in the back to the microcomposite VPOC. If we can hold above this 52.70, look for a rotation back up to test the high overnight at 1255.60. Resistance doesn't really come in until 1259 area, and then if we break above that 1259, the big targets above are the 64 area, but you know where my target is. It's still 1268. You know, this where we are trying to hold value before coming down to look for buyers down here. And then of course my main target still for gold, whether we get there this year, is still up at 1296. This is the composite VPOC going all the way back to 2008. Anyway, that's everything I've got. Market opens in 3 minutes. Trade well, trade safe, and we will catch you on the flip side.